everybody, we're back. As you can see, I haven't done much filming with Roxie in the last couple of months because she actually had a little operation on a lump here, and it took quite a while for it to recover. So we've had a little bit of break from filming, but one of the things I've been meaning to do a video blog for you is about handling. Okay. So it's really important when your puppy's young and then later on through your dog's life that you spend a lot of time teaching them to accept being handled, both by you and by strangers. And so, for example, when they go to the vets. So in puppy classes we do a lot of exercises on things like this. And I have to say that handling is one of the areas that Roxie has found most difficult. When she was very little, she had ear drops in for a week or so, and she handled that very well because of some of the methods I'm going to show you about how to train them to accept that. But then as she got older, she did become quite concerned about having people look in her mouth, and at one point she did actually growl and snap at me. So we've done a lot of work on that, and I'm going to demonstrate to you now how we've done that. So she will now accept being handled. I don't think she's ever going to really enjoy it. She loves cuddles, but she just doesn't particularly enjoy you doing other things that are useful, we think are useful. She doesn't really enjoy doing other things like that, I think because she just thinks she's got much better things to be doing with her time. So as you can see, if I was going to groom her now, you can see she's not particularly impressed with the idea of being stroked with that. She's trying to avoid it a little bit. She's putting a paw on it. She's moving around a bit. She's being a little bit wriggly. So one easy way to get around that problem, if you've got two of you, or if you're very deft with two hands, you can get their attention with some nice food in one end whilst you stroke them and do what you need to do at the other end. Right. So obviously you can see she's much more enjoying that now. Let's move around so you can see. She's much happier and accepting to stand still while I do that because she's having a treat for having it done. So an extension of that you can use is to teach them to wait briefly whilst you do the handling exercise, and then you give them the reward afterwards. So when I say briefly, I mean really briefly, okay? What I find that owners do is that when they're trying to handle their dogs, they get the dog's attention, they start doing stuff with them, and when the dog stands still, they carry on doing it. As soon as the dog starts wriggling, maybe mouthing at their hands, they stop. Okay. So if you think about a reward can be giving something to the dog. It can also be taking away something that the dog doesn't like. That can be rewarding. If the dog's not enjoying being groomed and handled, and then you take that away when he's wriggling, you're rewarding the wriggling behaviour. So by doing very, very brief training exercises, we can teach them to stand still. Yes, they get a treat as a reward at the end, but the main reward is that you stop trying to do the handling exercise. So for example, with Roxie here, if I put these treats away, so I've got no treats in my hands, what I'm going to do is I'm very quickly going to go brush, brush, good girl, and tell her she's good, and give her a treat. So do that again. Good girl. Well done. Good girl. And then can you see she's now standing, waiting in anticipation for her treat. Good girlie. Well done. So I did it a little bit longer then, because she's being so patient. She knows I've got treats. She knows if she stands still and lets me do it, she'll get a treat. Good girlie. Well done. Do one more. See? I know, you're trying. You're really trying. Ready? Now that's being a bit wriggly. You don't get anything from being wriggly. I'm going to carry on. If you start wriggling, good girl. So I tell her she's a good girl when she's standing still, and then when she gets the treat afterwards, she knows that's what it was for. And so the same principle applies to all sorts of handling exercises, not just brushing. So for example, you need to make sure that your puppy is used to having you look in his ears, in his eyes, in his mouth, like I talked about earlier, having the paws handled and having you run your hands all over the body. So you can use exactly the same principles. Take a brief look in here, good girl, well done. I couldn't really see in her ear, I couldn't really see what was going on in there. It's a training exercise. Okay, this is not about actually seeing in her ear. This is about teaching her to very briefly accept me looking in her ear. And do another one in your other ear. Look. Good girlie, well done. So she gets the treat for letting that happen. And then she's much more accepting. And this is the principle we use for training her to have me accept her looking in her mouth. So I just very briefly touched around her mouth. Good girl. And when she accepted that and didn't stiffen and didn't growl, I told her she was good and I stopped and I gave her a treat. And I just did that again repeatedly over a few weeks. Good girlie, well done, just like that. And eventually we've progressed to pretty much her being able to let me have a brief look in her mouth now. Ready? Good girl. Okay, she's still a little bit wriggly, but she's not tensing, she's not growling, and she's certainly not trying to bite my hand off. So well done, Roxie.